Wednesday greetings from lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream, as we are with you 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live. And you can find all of our past shows on our website, inside the fan zone at lcpioneers.com, or on our YouTube page. You can find us there, youtube.com/lcpios, keeping you connected with student athletes, coaches, alumni, and members from throughout the Lewis and Clark College community. Hi there, I'm Ryan Goff. I'm the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications at Lewis and Clark. We are the Pioneers out of Portland, Oregon, and members of the Northwest Conference, a 9-team conference with teams from throughout Northwest Oregon and the state of Washington. Lewis and Clark with 19 intercollegiate athletics programs competing at the NCAA Division III level, so a chance for our student athletes to get an opportunity to compete on a national stage in the largest division, largest level of the NCAA. And in non-pandemic times, certainly a chance for our student athletes and students alike to go around the globe with our overseas study program, a true experiential liberal arts education. One of the people who has gone through the degree programs at Lewis and Clark is Jimmy Chau, the head coach now of Lewis and Clark Tennis, and we'll talk to Jimmy in just a few moments about catching up through the fall 2020 semester and then spring 2021. What do we know? What's still kind of up in the air about what's going to happen with the tennis program at Lewis and Clark? We are super eager to talk to Jimmy for the second time on lcpioneers.com live. You can find out more information about Coach Chau and also get involved with the program by messaging us in our Facebook Live comments. You can always email us to sports@lclark.edu. That is our website and email. So you have an opportunity to maybe suggest a future guest if you're interested in doing so. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle on both of those platforms is LC Pioneers. And we've been keeping you updated on what's going on through our website, lcpioneers.com. And it's important, too, to mention our COVID updates site within lcpioneers.com. Just go to lcpioneers.com/COVID. And that's for any athletics-specific updates in regards to things that come from the NCAA or the Northwest Conference, or athletics-specific in nature, maybe from the county or state. But that is where we also have a link through to the Lewis and Clark College webpage, as well as there's a COVID update site through lclark.edu. You can find all of that information on our website, lcpioneers.com/COVID. And then I mentioned it too, our YouTube playlist continues to be updated in addition to our website. Big thanks to Associate Director of International Students and Scholars, Bridget Flaherty, for joining us yesterday to talk about what ISS brings the Lewis and Clark College community as part of the Division of Student Life. All right, let's bring in our guest for today. He is the head coach of the Lewis and Clark Pioneers tennis programs, both the men's and women's team, and alumnus of Lewis and Clark as well. We're proud to welcome in Jimmy Chau to the program. Hi, Coach Chau. Thanks for taking time, second appearance on the show, and it'll be nice to catch up with you. I will ask, to start, we're into the second week of school for the spring 2021 semester, and off winter break, and a lot of what I expect would have been uncertainty from the fall. Just kind of how are you doing with you and your program heading into the second week of the spring?
We're hanging in there. We're doing our best to I don't want to say deal with times, or make the best out of the times with the ever-changing state of COVID and everything that we have to do here. So we're looking forward to the challenges of this semester and the possibility of playing. So.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to say, I got a pause message all of a sudden on my screen. Coach, like I said, this is spring 2021. So I guess kind of give us some of the things that are on your mind, right? What do you maybe know for sure at this stage? And then what are some of the things that you're still trying to get a grip on in terms of what's going to happen for spring 2021?
Oh, well, we're just trying to be creative currently with what we can do. Obviously, we're not allowed indoors right now for practices. So Coach Ange has done an amazing job getting an outdoor fitness center set up for all the athletics programs. So we're taking advantage of that. Governor Brown just made a statement that things may change Friday, and we might be able to do some small group stuff. So just being ready to again adapt and do what we can to make the best out of this season. It's going to be a crazy one, but I think all the kids are just looking forward to whatever they can make out of it. So we're ready.
And you bring up a critical member of the Lewis and Clark athletics program, and that is Coach Ange, having a dedicated full-time strength and conditioning coach whom, like you mentioned, overseeing things like setting up a weight room that is primarily outdoors. When you think about Coach Ange and what she helps your program with, what she helps Lewis and Clark with, what are some of the best aspects about having a strength and conditioning coach on site?
I think, I mean, to have someone certified and full time is a game changer. Who's here for all the athletes. Not to say that tennis, maybe at some schools falls down that ladder of importance or whatnot, but to have someone, that's their job, that's their career, and I think they just approach it with a different level of respect and care that our students feel. So game changer for us, and how that affects our kids, and where it takes their game.
We're talking to head coach Jimmy Chau of the tennis programs on lcpioneers.com live. You had the fall 2020 semester, and I alluded to uncertainty, but I'll allow you to kind of give us a look back at what that fall semester was like for your team. How do you describe it?
I thought it was great. Like, tennis was a great change of pace, an outlet for our players. Obviously with the uncertainty, we were able to practice largely unaffected, outside of mask and the mitigation factors. But we got to play the game we love, and all the way up until the very end of the on-campus semester, pretty much, where all of a sudden, a lot of question marks started to come and whatnot for the spring, and some of that's been realized, some of those question marks, but at the same time, I think we're starting to come out of that a little bit. Oregon's looking a little better, and we're very hopeful right now. Again, for anything we can get to be together as a team or in small groups, and to again play the sport that we all love to play, and continue to get that awesome education, of course.
One thing that I absolutely love about a non-pandemic schedule when it comes to tennis is we kind of get a glimpse into your team from a competitive standpoint, usually in the fall with the ITA regional championships. Clearly, those didn't happen this past year. So really don't have an idea of what this team looks like right now. So discuss what the team is in the current form and some of the things you're most excited about what they can do once competition resumes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of our kids have had to stop playing tournaments as well. Something that, in this pandemic, you got to make those kinds of decisions as to what's important and what's not. And I'm totally looking forward to some of the first years that we've brought in. I think all of them bring a great energy that, and desire to compete in college. Which maybe the luster of that maybe wears off after a year or two and you become a veteran, but that newness and that energy is something I'm looking forward to seeing. And again, we're all trying to learn and kind of take those lumps as we go along the way, and just hoping for that opportunity to come up.
You're an alumnus of Lewis and Clark and have had a chance to coach for a very long time now, first as an assistant, now as the head coach of the programs. When you look back at your time as a student at Lewis and Clark, what are still some of the most memorable aspects about your time?
The travel, I think, with the team, those van rides, those 6-hour rides to Whitworth and back, and trying to get sleep on the van floor. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, it's just moments like that, where we're not necessarily, traveling across the country and doing all those kinds of things, but the day in and day out kind of stuff that that you almost remember more than the wins and losses, I think, is what I remember the most. And still chatting with those guys today, and with our head coach at the time, who we all very connected with, is awesome. Those relationships that we were able to forge.
And now you look at a coaching staff. You have quite a few people who help with the tennis programs at Lewis and Clark. So I imagine there's some sort of the same aspects of camaraderie with the quantity of coaches that help with your team, both on the men's and women's teams. So you have so many student athletes as well. How did you make up your coaching staff, and what are some of the attributes that they bring to the way that they mold our student athletes?
Yeah, I definitely argue that I have the best coaching staff in the country, mostly to make up for my deficiencies. But yeah, they all kind of bring something different to the table, to be honest. And our team is full of characters and different personalities. And sometimes you need a coach who maybe meshes better with a certain type of player. So that's one of the reasons. Obviously, we're at a tough school academically. To be flexible with practices and individual times and stuff is something that I value. So that's another reason why I have a huge staff. And I think the last thing is we have a huge staff because we have coaches who really want to help our players. And they range from our coaches range from having professional experience to being All-Americans in college to being teaching pros. So at all ends of the spectrum, we have representation, and it's amazing that our players have access to this. It's awesome.
You're watching lcpioneers.com live, presented by PioStream. We're with you 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live. And then if you miss any of our shows, you can always watch on demand at the fan zone, lcpioneers.com, or youtube.com/lcpios. Jimmy Chau is our guest, the head coach of the tennis programs at Lewis and Clark. Let's break down the campus at Lewis and Clark. We hear so many people describe the campus, the beauty, and some of the things that it brings. What are your biggest highlights that you share with potential student athletes when they're thinking about coming to Lewis and Clark?
I mean, obviously, the beauty of the campus, we're always voted one of the most beautiful in the country. But I would say, and a lot of people talk about this, is how our community not only is close and tight knit here on the hill, and just such a serene and tranquil place to study, but how it extends into Portland, and all the options and opportunities we have there. So I continue to say it's the best of all possible worlds here, up in our small little community, and then how we can expand outside of it really quickly to take advantage of everything else that the Pacific Northwest has to offer.
You also have access to Portland, and one thing too is 6 miles from downtown Portland, you have access to a lot of the apparel hubs, whether it's outdoor type apparel or athletic apparel like the likes of Nike. You've seen a lot of your student athletes take advantage of entrepreneurial opportunities through the Bates Center. The Adias come to mind, certainly. What is it about those, I guess, short distances to connections, whether it's someone coming to campus or the opportunity to go out within 15 miles and have access as such a large city like Portland? What is it about those opportunities that really stands out to you?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We're working with Nike right now, actually, on a testing pilot. Well, not a pilot program. They've done it for a long time, but we've tested shoes for them for quite a while. Shoes that haven't gone out to market, and it's just those things that kind of just come up. That the proximity of all those companies to us, and the connections of alumni or people in the tennis community as well, that we have, just lends to just opportunities that you would never get anywhere else. So I pinch myself sometimes. It's just how lucky we are to have those sorts of things that nobody else does.
Now, Ramez Addy has been on our show, and that was shortly after winning the Invent Oregon competition. We talk about the Bates Center for Entrepreneurship and Leadership and some of the programming that it has, but Ramez is one of several students and student athletes who have taken advantage of the Entrepreneurship Center. What's it like to see one of your student athletes have that kind of success? It's not just one thing to go on and eventually graduate, but to be able to win a competition of the stature of Invent Oregon.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable! Number one, Bates Center. Like, I've seen it grow from the starts of an idea to what it is today and where it's going. Props to everybody in that group who's made it what it is today. And yeah, I mean, again, pinching myself. This is what kids go to college for, right? The opportunity to explore what they love to do, and then to see him have success, all the while competing and doing well in school, is amazing. And I hope more kids, and one of our other guys just did something similar, Shane, are able to take advantage of that. And it doesn't just, it's not just what I'm looking for. not relegated, but to the Bay Center. But every part of our campus, there's something like that where kids can explore, and the opportunities and doors that we open once you do start to narrow in on what you're looking for. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really that opportunity to kind of find what's success, looks like for the individual student or student athlete, and then Lewis and Clark usually finds a way to help them accomplish that success. I appreciate all that you bring to our department, the Lewis and Clark College community. You do so much for our group, and miss seeing you on a daily basis or at least a weekly basis, but it is nice to catch up with you on the show. Jimmy Chau, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us on lcpioneers.com live.
Love you, Ryan.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Right.
That's Jimmy Chau, Pio through and through, and clearly as an alumnus of the tennis program, now the head coach of the program, spent double-digit seasons as an assistant coach prior to becoming the head coach. Really an amazing person to have on campus, and he is not one to hold back and tell you a kind word here and there, and certainly appreciate that whenever the opportunity comes up, and to have him on the show, which apparently is only the second time today. I thought most of our coaches, this will be the third time through, but somewhere along the line, didn't get a chance to have Jimmy on for a second time. So it was fun to catch up for the first time on the show, I think, since late April of 2020, which is kind of crazy. All right. Well, we'll skip tomorrow because we do have a student life division meeting that will take all of the morning. So no live show, of course. We will have a re-air on Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. So if you missed any of our past shows, an opportunity to watch it in the normal time slot. And then on Friday, Ian Sheppel will join us from men's swimming. I have a chance to catch up as the swimming senior enters the spring 2021 semester. Still working on our guest list for next week, but speaking of tennis, Pim Trauerbach is set to join us, I think, on Thursday of next week. We'll have the full schedule available at lcpioneers.com/live sometime over the course of the weekend into Monday. And of course, our past shows, you can see it there, youtube.com/lcpios. Until we see you again on Friday for a live show, and hopefully tomorrow for our re-air, I'm Ryan Goff. Big thanks to you for watching, and also big thanks to Coach Chau for joining us. We'll see you again for more lcpioneers.com live presented by PioStream. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Nick Lombardi. Something I've learned at Winterim this year is how to communicate a vision.
My biggest takeaway from Winterim is probably the networking. Getting to talk to everybody, connect with people for the future is one of the most valuable things, and I did Winterim last year, came back for more this year.
I think a way in which my liberal arts education has really helped me and my group formulate our ideas is that concept of critical thinking and having many different backgrounds, me being an econ major and my two group mates being chemistry majors. We really get that well-rounded background, well-rounded ideas.
I think overall it's absolutely worth doing. You find yourself not only being more prepared for, say, this next semester, on top of being more prepared for life in general.